Hello, it's Honey again, and today I'm doing another transition update video. This will be the 23rd month of my medical transition, and this video is going to be discussing voice therapy and how that turned out to be a bit of a flop this month due to the group. Doctor's appointments that I have to make which relate to my transition and why. A correction to blood work figures that I'd issued previously, and I'll also include a link below about what our transition for M2F and F2M's ranges, what we're aiming for medically, also why it's so important to make sure you are getting your blood work done professionally, and finally to discuss a problem member of staff and the updates to do with how, since speaking to one of the managers, how that's been progressing towards improving with pronouns. So let's begin. So the first thing I want to talk about is the voice therapy group and how that went. In my last video I said how disappointing it was that there was only me and one other trans girl. Well, this month I showed up on time and everything, a little bit beforehand, and waited 20 minutes, got called, we went in, we sat down. I say we, I mean me and the instructor, because nobody else showed up. You would think with how important your voice is in order to be perceived the way you wish to be, and in order to alleviate some of the symptoms of dysphoria, if the sound of your own voice drives you up the wall, then you think people would be a lot more interested in making sure they attended. But anyway, this time it was just me, so very quickly the class was cancelled, or the session was cancelled, which is obviously very disappointing. It took me several hours to get ready, as it always does, to go over there, plus the 45-minute drive over there, and £5 worth of parking, because I thought I was going to be there for 2 hours plus maybe a little bit of shopping in town, so I spent £5 on parking, and within half hour of arriving I was, basically on my way again because there was no class. It's obviously very disappointing. Basically all we did was recap the stuff that I've already discussed previously. The only thing that we added was thinking sounds, which was something for me to work on. So during this video I'm going to try to be making thought noises rather than just going Again, it's a form of pitch start, so and thinking about things, and I see, rather than just so it's important to try, and whatever you're doing, try and keep the pitch up and try and carry it through. So that was something else. I'm still finding the different exercises they give me so far, or have given me so far, to be useful, which is handy. Still using it as basically a to-do list, because it's 3 things from yesterday, 3 things from today, and 3 things from tomorrow. Unfortunately, because I'm so lazy, you'll find a lot of those things carry over. So repeatedly for the last week it's been I must film, or today I will film a video, which hasn't happened until today. So that was the voice therapy anyway. The next topic I want to move on to was a hormone update and blood work update, and what's gone on there and what I've since learned. As always, my 3 months was up at the beginning of, or the end/beginning of this month, so I had my blood work redone. During that exchange I finally got my blood work through and my new prescription. I had felt that the results was a bit low, coming in at 395, basically 395 nanomoles of estrogen in my blood. I'd previously been led to believe that between 500 and 1000 was the range that we were aiming for. It is in fact between 300 and 800 nanomoles of estrogen or estradiol in your blood is what you're in fact aiming for. I just wanted to correct that. I've been sent by my gender doctor the exact dosages, or not dosages, sorry, the exact guidance for M2F and F2M with various different treatments of what they're aiming for and why. I will include a link to that in the description below. On top of that, part of the update is I always get asked to complete a survey, or it's basically a survey. They ask me like 3 questions: how am I feeling physically, what changes have I noticed, what changes do I want to see, how do I think things are progressing, how do I feel psychologically, has there been anything peculiar. So I updated them with a new symptom, which while it's a little bit embarrassing, it's important, and I do believe that way back in my first hormone video where I covered side effects, it was included, so it's worth mentioning it, which is recently, since my last trip, or I say since my last trip, when I was away with my partner last time is when I decided I would mention this, is because I've sort of developed a little bit of incontinence. It's very mild in the sense that, you know, it just, I don't seem to sometimes know when I've finished, or that last little bit that you need to get rid of when that's done. So sometimes I end up sitting back down again and finishing, and other times I think I'm done, and actually I'm not, and I end up carrying on, and you know, it's obviously, it's not great, and it's only like, it's tiny amounts, but it's not great, and it obviously it's a worry. So, and it's a side effect. This probably relates to my prostate, so I've been asked to get my prostate checked. It brings me on to the next subject, which is the doctor's appointments. I've been asked to make 2 doctor's appointments. One relating to another thing. I think I've got a small hernia, and then in addition to that, obviously I've been asked to get my prostate checked, which obviously for us trans girls, it's just one of nature's little reminders that you weren't quite born the way you wanted, and that for M2Fs, then you've got to have that checked occasionally to make sure that nothing's going wrong with it, and that you're not possibly developing cancer and things like that. So it's a joyous thing that I'm not looking forward to booking, and making an appointment with my doctor is a nightmare anyway. I'm still not sure how I'm going to do it, and I know that makes it sound way more complicated than it is, but the fact of the matter is, it is complicated because my doctor isn't great. I'd rather not see him anyway, and on top of that, you can only book an appointment with him, none of the other doctors there, just your own doctor. Otherwise, the other option is to ring up every day, or get up every day and be at the surgery for 8 to find out if there's any available appointments. The problem with that is, obviously it takes me a couple of hours to get ready, so in order to do that, I'm going to be getting up at like 5:30 every day just to make sure that I can go up to the doctor's surgery and be told there's no appointments, you know, for God knows how long. So I'm not really willing to do that, and I don't know how I'm going to schedule it yet or get around this, but I've been asked to do it, and I need to get it checked before the next time, because obviously they're going to ask me in the next survey what's happened, and it'll need to have been done, so I've got to address it in the next few months. Moving on to the final topic, the problem that I have with staff and being misgendered. I do believe it's slowly improving. I am actively catching more staff myself and trying to correct them and make an effort, especially if it's anyone that's in a management or middle management position or supervisor or anything like that. I grab them and correct them, because they're the ones that other people follow the example of, so I need to make sure they're getting it right. Other than that, not much to report, other than one very negative incident with a member of staff. I was working in a department, and my equipment, because it's not, it looks quite outlandish, so it draws attention, and I was further down the hall at the control panel dealing with it and monitoring it, and a member of staff asked a more experienced member of staff, "Oh, what's this? What's going on in there then?" The member of staff who was being asked the question, now obviously none of this relates to me or my gender or my sexuality or anything like that. Those were not the questions being asked. The questions being asked by the other member of staff was, what's this equipment, what's going on in there, why are we doing this? Those sort of questions. This other member of staff gestures down the hall to me and basically says, "Oh, the blah blah man is doing so, or is doing such and such," which is obviously inappropriate for starters. And then he points down the hall at me again, so there's no confusion about who's talking about here. Holds up his arm and does this, which is, for anyone who doesn't know, is basically a hand gesture implying that I'm queer or gay, which just shows his ignorance even further, in the sense that, for starters, I'm bisexual, so not gay, not straight, and secondly, this is not, or this is not a description of gender at any point anyway, and these questions were not the questions being asked of him, so he had no reason to be making these stupid little gestures and talking about whether or not, you know, I'm straight or gay or anything else. So I was obviously very disappointed with this and angry. I got to the department manager and asked for this person's name. I was fuming at the time. I got given the name, and I said I'd bring it up with the site manager that I had been speaking to anyway, rather than bringing it up with the department. So that's what I said I would do. The department manager was quite adamant that I should report him, because he said that the guy is a nuisance and rude anyway, and it would appear that that's the case, because I came back earlier this week to the same department to do some more work, and for different reasons, and he's been moved along, and at this point I hadn't had time, or hadn't had the opportunity to report him to the site manager anyway, so he is obviously a nuisance and just not very nice. I'm glad he's been moved along, but I'm also a little bit disappointed with myself for not having grabbed the issue by the horns and dealt with it sooner by going to the site manager about that individual, because I do think that education is the most important thing that any of us can do to make the lives of other trans people and other LGBT people more comfortable, is to educate people about it, and then the other thing is, obviously, in situations like that where that behaviour is unacceptable, is to challenge it, or otherwise it's just allowed to continue. So I do wish I'd brought it up with the site manager sooner, but nevertheless this person's been moved along due to their obviously poor behaviour otherwise anyway, but there you go. That is my update this time. Obviously my next video is going to cover, or it will be, it's been 24 months on HRT, so it will be just basically a roundup of my 2 years worth of experience on that, what's changed. If I've had my prostate checked by then, obviously it will include an update to do with that, as it's related to side effects, and what side effects I have been experiencing I'll go into greater details, and what changes I've had I'll go into greater details of. Please leave a comment below if you know me, about what you think of this, I suppose, new look I am starting to get to the stage where I'm feeling like I might be able to do something with or use my natural hair. I'm still using pieces and wigs on a daily basis at the moment, simply because where I don't necessarily have the coverage I want in all the areas. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time. Bye!